Hello everybody, welcome back. This will be the second set of 26 from my books A to Z year-long project. So I would have finished 52 books already this year. And it's a lot more than that if you follow me on Goodreads. The second set was from February 22nd through March 17th. I've had a little bit going on with other updates and another readathon that I'm doing. But I will tell you the books that I read in that less than a month span. Alright, so I read Anansi Boys by Neil Gaiman. It does not fit in the American Gods universe. It's just because the Anansi, there is a character in American Gods, Mr. Nancy, but he just made a different story, but it doesn't have anything to do with Mr. Nancy. And it was interesting. It was about a young man who loses his mother, his father, and then he finds out there's a twin. And his life goes haywire after that. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald by J.K. Rowling. This was a screenplay, so you read it like that. It was a great screenplay. I don't know that I need to see the movies because I've never seen Fantastic Beasts. Let's be real, I've only seen the first two Harry Potter movies in the first place. But it was really good. Like, I can't wait for the third screenplay to come out. I can't wait to see what happens. But, whew, Albus Dumbledore sure knows how to pick them, don't he? Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I've seen the movie. This was the first time I'd read the book. Neil Gaiman read this one to me. I'm rereading it again. But I really enjoyed it. I really loved the different aspects. Now I need to go watch Coraline, the movie, because I can remember some things. And Coraline, the book Neil Gaiman wrote, is, books are going to be different from the movies. Let's see. I read Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. And that was that was book 7 from the series. I really enjoyed These Precious Scars, This Mortal Coil, 0.5. So this was like a prequel. It was just like 42 pages or something to This Mortal Coil. And I just got This Mortal Coil from the library. And that was from Emily Suvada. Watch Hollow by Gregory Funaro. Such a good book. Definitely read it. It's fantastical. And I don't know what it is about these fantasy books. Like, you have to be missing a parent, But this one, it's two children and their father. And the father is a clock fixer, watchmaker, and the son is his apprentice. And they recently lost their mother, and then the dad gets a job and adventure arises. The Golden Finch by Donna Tartt. I had no plans on watching the movie. And I still don't know that I'm going to see it in the theaters, but I will watch it somewhere so I can see Jeffrey Wright as Hobie. I love Hobie. The character of Hobie is so great. I'm trying to remember the kid's name. But it all starts when there is a bombing at a museum. And his life we see his life from that moment through, till the end of the book. And the character is someone who doesn't, it takes him being in another country for him to actually say, I need to take responsibility for things that are happening, for things I've done. And because he, as a character, things happen to him. And a lot of things are outside of his control, most definitely, but the things that he ends up doing in response to those things doesn't always correlate to the proper or what we would think to do. But The Golden Finch, like I said, is going to be a movie. I'm just here for Hobie. That's it. How Are You Going to Save Yourself by J.M. Holmes. I have no idea if the character became responsible, tried to become a better person. I have no idea. I hated that book so freaking much. Like, I was driving along, we were riding. And we just got through like the first chapter or set of his life. I don't know. I don't even think he had graduated high school yet. He may have been on the precipice of 18. This dude was a rape facilitator. This girl, he said he thought he loved her. And you think you love this girl, how you gonna do this to her? Oh, frustrating. I was so mad. And then he was still making stupid choices into the next one. He didn't grow. He didn't change. I was done. Like, that dude could kick rocks with no socks. No. If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. And I read both of those books back to back. If Beale Street Could Talk is now a movie. It's available on Hulu. It was written, 60s, 70s, I guess. Fonny is a main character. He is imprisoned for a crime he did not commit because he had offended a white police officer. And he was charged with raping a Puerto Rican woman who ended up going back to Puerto Rico. I enjoyed it. We don't find out, the ending of the story is left open-ended. But I did enjoy it. I don't know how the movie ends because I haven't seen the movie. I don't know that I plan to. Visiting Day by Jacqueline Woodson. This was a short story. It was about a little girl and her grandmother getting ready to board the bus to visit her father in prison. And it's about the ritual, putting in the little fancy ribbons or bows in your hair, putting on your Sunday best, fried chicken, getting on the bus. The neighbor, she has a son there, but she can't make the trip. Can you make sure he gets, a letter or pictures or whatever? And it was just it's just a short kid's book, and it was a picture book, and I did really enjoy that. What Truth Sounds Like, Robert F. Kennedy, James Baldwin, and Our Unfinished Conversation About Race in America by Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. I found out about Michael Eric Dyson when he spoke at Aretha Franklin's funeral. And I read this book, and it was about how Robert F. Kennedy started where his brother's platform, was to bridge the racial divide. And how he was, JFK was killed before he could continue. And it just talked about how Robert Kennedy, he didn't enjoy his privilege being thrown in his face by James Baldwin. And it took a little bit, but they finally got, where they could actually speak with one another. And it shows that, we're not always open to speaking because it's not our narrative. Stories are dismissed because it's not our narrative. It doesn't fit our narrative. So the story can't be true. It can't be happening. This is that. This is this. And a fun fact, after I read that book, he was up at Saginaw Valley State University giving a talk up there. Okay, and I read The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving an F by Sarah Knight. That was a parody on Marie Kondo's The Magic Art of Tidying Up, which I read a few years ago. And it was about not caring what other people think of what you do. And I'm not I'm not talking about criminal things. I'm talking about if you want to wear lime green every day and don't care that other people don't get it. That's you. You do you. You want sky blue pink hair. Have your sky blue pink hair. That doesn't change who you are inside. And if people only see you for your outer shell, that's their problem, not yours. It was also, if you don't want to do something, you can say no. I mean, obviously we can't say no to everything, but if you don't want to go to a party, you can say no. Maybe it's not your type of party. You're tired. You're busy. You can say no. And that's what that was. Just some things, you have to, and she was like, be blunt, but don't be an asshole, is what it really was. You can say, no thank you, or, what's going on, Light? I don't want to come to, I am busy that day, or, that's not your style, whatever. But, so you can keep those relationships going, but you don't have to do things that you don't enjoy. You don't want to go to your friend's art showing? You don't have to, but don't be a dick about it, really. Milkman by Anna Burns. I started reading it, and when I first started reading it, I pictured a Latinx country, but then when I got the audio, it is an Irish orator, so it's based in Ireland. So for me, it's the IRA era in Ireland, and so I really got to understand more about the book and everything, and it was very interesting, but because there are no names in the book. I mean, like I'm Lori, but you're not going to call me Lori. She's going to be that girl, or purple or brown, pink, shoelace, something, something. I'm going to have a descriptor to identify me, not my name. And, but it was just interesting how you could be minding your own business, but you're not aware of what's happening around you at the same time, to realize that people are making assumptions, especially in that time. That was a deadly thing that people, and people still make assumptions, presumptions about people because they're not into your mess. They're not paying attention to what you're doing. So they're not whatever. In this era, they're not woke is what it is. And how, because she stayed to herself, she did her thing that wasn't bothering anyone else, but it was suspect to other people because they were feeling some type of way about it. And it ended up changing her life. And bruh. So I really enjoyed it more as an audiobook than as a regular book. Notes from a Black Woman's Diary by Kathleen Collins. This is being printed. Her daughter, Nina Collins, is going through her mother's things and working with publishers to get these things published. And these notes from a Black woman's diary are incomplete stories or stories she never got around to polishing or submitting because she died. And there were a few other stories that I enjoyed. Some of them I was like, oh, bruh. And you can tell she and James Baldwin were in the same time loop because of their vernacular and how they wrote certain things. So it was okay. I wanted to read her first book, What Happened to Interracial Love, or something like that. I wanted to read that one. On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This is her second book. Her first book is The Hate You Give, which I read earlier this year. Maybe. Or late last year, but I've read it, in the last 6 months. I really enjoy her style. On the Come Up is also set in the Heights, where The Hate You Give is based. I just really enjoy her style of writing. I enjoyed this story because it was a different side of the life of Star from The Hate You Give, and I can't remember her name. Bree. There we go, Bree. And from On the Come Up. On the Come Up is about an aspiring rapper who hopes that winning a rap battle will get her recognition from a label, and she will be able to get her family out of the Heights. Parkland, Birth of a Movement by Dave Cullen. This followed the students from Parkland, especially the ones that were forefront in the aftermath of Parkland. Followed them for 10 months as they went around the country. And now you're hearing that, this book came out, it coincided, I want to say, with the 1-year anniversary of Parkland, which happened February 14th, 2018. And, now we're hearing that 2 students from Stoneman Douglas have committed suicide because of the aftermath. They survived. There's survivor's guilt. There's PTSD. There's all these things. And there's people, you don't think about the aftermath. You're there in the moment, but when it's done, those, they are never going to feel safe in that environment. And I don't know how they will feel going forward into college. life is definitely a before and after type of situation in that moment. But it was a really interesting book to read, to see, you know, how they jump started, how, and because, you know, those students, you know, they're social media savvy. They understand that. And a lot of them were in that journalism class. So they had some foundation to speak for themselves, to have a platform for gun reform. And it shouldn't have taken 20 more years, you know, another situation 20 years after Columbine, and we're still having the same conversation. Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I really love this. It's book 1 of a 4-part series. I really enjoyed it. The characters, you know, they're multifaceted, although, you know, a lot of them are stuck in their ways. But it's a very interesting series. 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos by Jordan B. Peterson. Okay, this one was the one, it was more biblical, with some sociology. Sociology. Yes, I guess a little sociology and some psychology mixed into it. It was just how to live your life, but it was very heavy on biblical teachings. My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I really enjoyed this. I don't know what I expected, but it was a really interesting story, and I can't remember where it was based, but it was a very interesting story, and really it was just about those sisters and their bond, and like really they went to the mat for each other. So okay, the next book is To Night Owl from Dogfish by Holly Goldberg Sloan. This was about 2 preteens who start communicating via email because Dogfish, I think. Yeah, I want to say Dogfish was there was California and New York, and Dogfish found out that her father was sending her to camp. He didn't even ask. Like, that frustrated me. Like, don't send me to camp and not even ask if I want to go to camp. But that's how they meet. The 2 girls, they start communicating via email. Then they end up meeting at camp. And I really love the 2 girls. Like, the dads, they needed like they needed to sit down on how to behave as human beings. And from what I understood, one of the girls was at least biracial. Because I believe her dad was black. But yeah, the dads were like in this honeymoon phase, and like everything was going to be sunshines and rainbows, and they didn't really communicate. So the girls had a better relationship than the fathers did. The Lost Girl by Annie Ursu. This is another preteens, and they're twins. The parents in this book pissed me off too. The girls, their lives change when their parents tell them that they are going to be split apart in school. So they're not going to be in the same classroom. And the girls think the principal chose to do this. That is not the case. And so the girls have a hard time adjusting because they find out like 2 weeks before school starts that they're not going to be in the same classroom, when for me, like, you could have told them in June when school let out that this was happening, so they could have had a little more time. Maybe some professional, somebody in a professional setting could have helped them find coping mechanisms. A very DC Valentine's Day comic. I enjoyed it. That's where I found out about Apollo and Midnighter. So now I've been reading Midnighter and Apollo. Well, Apollo doesn't have his own comic. Midnighter does. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by J.K. Rowling. That's the first. That one was also a screenplay. That's the first screenplay in Fantastic Beasts. And then The Crimes of Grindelwald is the second. I really enjoyed Grindelwald more than the first one. Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. I love that book. It made me cry, but it turned out all right. Winn-Dixie is a stray dog that India Opal finds, and she named him Winn-Dixie because he was found in the Winn-Dixie grocery store. And he is the catalyst for her finding her people in her new town. I read You Think It, I'll Say It by Curtis Sittenfeld. I was not crazy about this book. A lot of the characters were just assholes in this book, and there were different stories, so it was like a set of short stories, and I don't think there was one that I loved. Baby Teeth by Zoya Stage. Oh my God. It was like Damon turned to 1,000. Like, Damon had, the like the nanny helping him, or this little girl was straight demonic. She is very psychotic, and I hope there's a second book because I want to see her in the future. But such a good book. I highly recommend Baby Teeth. And then I read 2 more outside of the 26. Archie Volume 2 by Mark Waid, and then Midnighter and Apollo by Steve Orlando, which I enjoyed because I do enjoy superheroes, and they are LGBT superheroes. So, alright, you guys, so that was my second set of books A to Z. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I would love to have you. And if you've already subscribed, thank you very much. I want you guys to be safe, be well. Peace.